You're listening to MedX, the Medical Extrusion Podcast. Presented by U.S. Extruders. Extrude with confidence. Custom extrusion equipment designed for you and your application.
Hey folks, we're coming in hot so far this year on the MedX podcast. Last week we dropped an episode with Dr. Bob Hergenrother of BioCoat to discuss BioCoat's technology to apply hydrophilic coatings to the inner lumens only of catheter tubing. Next week we have Tyler Ware, founder and owner of GenX Medical Extrusion. Tyler's going on 7 years in business, and he talks about some of the extrusion programs that he worked on in the very beginning that have gone from prototyping V&V to full serial production. Tyler also talks about some very interesting extrusion technologies that he has developed. Today, we have a special medical plastic supply chain update from Nate Doyle, VP of Sales and Marketing at Compounding Solutions. Nate is going to give us an update on the supply of common plastics used in the medical device industry. Nate, thanks for joining us on this special episode of the MedX podcast.
Well, thanks for having me, Steve.
You can't extrude tubing, you can't build catheters without materials, so please give our listeners an update.
Absolutely. And today, talking about a few different things that have happened in the resin marketplace. Off, Celanese has announced that one of their particular raw materials that goes into making their Hytrel product line, and Celanese has just purchased the Hytrel product line last year from DuPont. So that may be a change that some people are not aware of, that DuPont is divested from the Hytrel and is now under Celanese. One of their raw materials called dimethyl terephthalate is produced in Germany by a company called Oxynova. And Oxynova decided in November of last year to close business, actually. So they'll no longer be producing these chemicals. And that's causing, obviously, a disruption in the Hytrel supply chain, and also be a forced change from the DMT method to what we're hearing right now is what's called the PTA method. Only certain grades of Hytrel are affected, so please reach out to your suppliers and to understand the full scope. Don't want to cause any panic, but it is obviously something to double check on with your current suppliers to see if you'll be affected. And Hytrels are typically used in the catheter market space, not as frequently as we see with other materials, but it is a popular grade. Yep. If you're looking for offsets to Hytrel, if you want to move, because a lot of Hytrel grades are industrial type of grades, not necessarily a medical grade. There are medical grades of the copolyester elastomers, or COPE. You tend to see them under the abbreviated names. We can help you out there, or ask your supplier as well. Another update from Covestro. Covestro has declared force majeure for their macrolons. Covestro has declared force majeure a couple times over the last couple years through COVID. Rising energy costs and workforce resources tend to be the causes. Macrolon's a polycarbonate, if the grade name is not familiar. They're Macrolon 2458, 2558. Their RX series are all medical grades and tend to be used in the medical industry. Compounding Solutions has ample stock for our current business, but people that may buy lower quantities may find themselves not having the right allocation, or unable to get it during this time period. So again, another resin to check your supply chain on. Another interesting piece of news that's just been dropped recently is that 3M is exiting the fluoropolymer resin space. There's been a lot of regulation changes in raw materials, the fluorspar issues to actually make fluoropolymers, and that's caused seen some issues probably throughout the supply chain with PTFE liners, FEP, just resin supply and things of this nature. Having somebody exit the marketplace, I'm not sure if that'll help or hurt the marketplace at the moment, but if you are using any 3M, FEP, ETFE, or these types of melt processable fluoropolymers, I would again double check your supply chain and see what needs to happen to either make a change to something else or a different grade of fluoropolymer. And their trade name is Dyneon, if anyone is don't know the 3M's trade name as well. Last update in terms of suppliers, Lubrizol, maker of a lot of the TPUs we see in the marketplace. Their polythanes tend to continue to get easier to get in terms of supply, shorten lead times. So again, we're seeing things move in the right direction there. The issues are the ticothanes, ticoflexes, and carbothanes. These continue to be a struggle to get. They are increasing their capacities and increasing their yields to continue to try to make more each time they make a batch of this. This is not a continuous process. It's batch made. So it is getting better, but better slowly. And a lot of people have put in large orders to try to mitigate these supply issues, which continue to just bog down the supply chain. So 2023 for ticothanes, ticoflexes, and carbothanes will probably continue to be a rough year in terms of supply. Looking at pricing, just to kick off the year, commodity resins like polypropylene, polyethylene, PVC, those types of resins continue to go down actually in price. So that's good news. The supply chain seems to be recovered from COVID, recovered from back orders, and we're seeing the pricing go in the right direction. I think you're probably for polypropylene is a good indicator, for those types of marketplaces. At the height of COVID, we were seeing prices at $1.70, $1.80 per pound, and that's for large volume buys, truckload buys, 40,000 pounds. And now you're maybe down in the $120, dollar per pound range. So good to see that going in the right direction. In terms of engineering resins, your polycarbonates, your PETs, nylon 6 and 6,6, these types, the pricing has seemed to stabilize. It was trending up throughout all of COVID due to mostly demand, and we're seeing prices stabilize there. Medical resins, a lot of them are made in Europe as well as North America, and energy costs to go up quite heavily. We're seeing energy costs, in America, double, where Ireland and Germany are seeing 300 to 500% just as an energy cost, which are driving a lot of these price increases for the medical resins. Arkema just announced a price increase as of January 1st, and I would expect other manufacturers of nylon 12s, TPUs, these types of catheter type of bills to continue increasing price till those types of factors stabilize as well. In terms of lead times seem to have come down as well in terms of resins. Where we've seen, I think the worst lead time we had saw in terms of resins was 149 days, so over 6 months. Now we're seeing, most under 12 weeks, and a lot of resins now are available in that 1 to 2 week range. So that's been good to see and help keep lead times low for compounds and natural resin distributions.
Okay, great.
So that's my update today.
Yeah, some good news, some bad news. Anything related to PIBA?
PIBA, the Arkema resins, those are definitely, we just saw a 3% increase come through, in terms of pricing. Lead time should not be affected at all. We're not seeing any really shortages of any sort, in those spaces right now. And to be honest, the manufacturers of all the PIBAs, and those are Arkema, Avonic, those are your two main suppliers. Emmons Brewery, I think, still has a PIBA available. Nycoa has a PIBA available. We're not seeing any shortages across the board, but again, they know that these resins go into medical industries, and these companies are very serious about working with medical companies to make sure supply goes into life-saving devices.
Nate, thanks again for giving everybody an update. It's very important information. There's a lot going on in the industry, so I think people will appreciate an update. So thanks again, and have a great day.
Absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
All right.
Thank you for listening to MedX, the Medical Extrusion Podcast, presented by US Extruders. Please subscribe to make sure you're getting the latest episodes. All links are available in the show notes.